As the strike involving more than 150,000 federal public servants enters its, 10th day today, Treasury Board President Mona Fortier says she's remaining optimistic that a deal could be reached at any time.
One day you feel disappointed, the other day you put back people at the table and find creative solutions to see what maneuvers we have to get to a deal.
Yeah, creative may be the operative word here. The union representing the workers has escalated the strike over the last couple of days, targeting locations like the Port of Montreal, Toronto's Pearson Airport, and federal buildings in the capital as well. So to talk about where this may be headed, we are joined by CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Capellos. Vashi, nice to see you this morning.
Hey, Lindsey, great to see you.
Let's cut right to it. Has any progress been made? Do we know?
It's hard to tell. I would say probably not a lot at this point. They kind of dug in, not yesterday, but the day before. So just before Minister Fortier made those comments, it really seemed like things were at probably their worst point. And that's because of some public communication that each side was making. The union is saying, hey, we moved twice off of our offer of 13.5% wage increase over 3 years. And the government was like, no, we're not moving beyond 9%. And each was kind of arguing very publicly back and forth around that. And the government really did not seem positioned to say, oh, okay, we are going to give a little bit. And as a result, I would say, like, beyond that comment from Minister Fortier, which, yes, did strike like the tiniest note of optimism, I can't see much progress that's being made at all. That doesn't mean that it can't change pretty quickly if someone decides to give, but nobody publicly is saying that they're willing to do so.
So the assumption is this is going to escalate. What could we see here?
Yeah, this is a really interesting part of it all, right? Because for this entire week, since the weekend, when things got really kind of personal and heated between the union and the minister, the union has been saying, we're going to make life, we're going to disrupt life even more for Canadians. And by that, you know, the examples that you used, you know, at the ports in Montreal, St. John's and Vancouver. And then also the union president told me, I think it might have been on Monday, that they were going to block, you know, travel for Canadians, expect delays. So far, I think it's important to kind of like, you know, balance the rhetoric with reality. So far, there haven't been massive disruptions. Like no port, the union was saying it's being shut down. We sent local reporters out, CTV did. It didn't seem like it was completely, like operations had completely ceased. So I think there is still a lot of room for that escalation that they've been kind of threatening and saying that will drive home their point and of course force some more negotiations at the table. But so far we haven't seen it manifest quite to the degree that we might have anticipated. Again, though, that can all change on a dime.
And what about public perception? What are you hearing?
Oh, well, I feel like that's another head scratcher, right? There's a couple. So I host a radio show during the day, a national radio show, and people call in all the time. And I would say over the past week, there have been some people calling in who originally were very stuck in a position against the union who have come to say, hey, you know what, maybe what they're asking for to offset the increased cost of living isn't totally unreasonable. But I still get a majority of calls where people are kind of really sort of frustrated with the union's position and think it's a bit unrealistic given what most Canadians endured during the pandemic, and that was, you know, kind of a risk of losing your job, if not actually losing it, and then nobody really feeling as though their salaries are keeping up with inflation. So there's a bit of a dichotomy there, and then there's been some polling through Angus Reid that shows sort of something different, that a lot of Canadians do support the union's position. So I feel like it's a mixed bag. I sort of view it from a political perspective. My sense is from the polling and the public opinion that the government has conducted, they do not feel that public sentiment is against their position at this point. They do feel like they have some leeway. And I think that's why you're seeing their position fairly dug in for as long as it has.
Vashi, I have to ask you really quickly about Trudeau's potential involvement in this back-to-work legislation. We have about 10 seconds.
I don't think they're going to do it right away because the impact is felt, but not as much as you might have anticipated. When it is felt in a big way, they've done it twice before, I think they would do it again.
All right, Vashi, always good to hear from you. Thanks so much.
Anytime.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.